Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 178 for October 28th through November 3rd. Less than a year after an independent review exposed a toxic culture, Wales faces renewed scrutiny over contract negotiation failures, reportedly resorting to threats of disciplinary action and even the potential withdrawal of its women's team from the WXV and 2025 Rugby World Cup. This weekend, the Rugby Africa Women's Sevens tournament will take place in Ghana, bringing together 12 national teams vying for a spot in the 2025 World Rugby Challenger Series. Kenya, Tunisia, and Zimbabwe lead the charge, as South Africa has already qualified for HSBC Sevens. And we round up all of the global premier and club competitions worldwide. I'm Wendy, here to bring you the latest in women's rugby. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. Let's start with 15's news, and we have to start with Wales. They face renewed criticism over its handlings of contract negotiations with the women's team. Reports indicated that the WRU refused player requests, used disciplinary threats, and pressured players to sign in the middle of the Six Nations tournament, despite the Welsh Rugby Players Association handling negotiations. Leadership has since issued a public apology, but it's not enough. This is less than a year since the last independent review revealed a toxic culture. There were lots of problems, specifically with the women's team. It's time for resignations, and it's time to clean house. Uganda's Elgin Cup has been canceled. It would have been 2 matches between Uganda and Kenya. It would have swapped locations. And it means that there are no senior 15s matches for Uganda this year. There are some under 20s that are happening, but just a shame for this program that doesn't get very many international tests. Let's switch over to Sevens news now. The Rugby Africa Women's Sevens tournament will take place in Ghana this weekend, and it serves as a qualifier for the 2025 World Rugby Challenger Series. Brings together 12 teams from across the continent. South Africa, of course, already on the HSBC Sevens circuit, so even if they win, they'll be ineligible. But we're looking at Kenya, Tunisia, and Zimbabwe as the top teams. You can watch all the matches on Rugby Pass, YouTube, and Supersport. Now let's take a look at Premier and Club news. Our October 30th update of the USA Club Women's Rugby standings are up. We know that we've got some postseasons as some of the nation is already underway. Midwest, D1 and D2 have their semifinals coming up. And then in New England, D2, also their semifinals are coming up this weekend as well. Round 11 of the Arnold Clark Premiership saw Christorfen cling to their undefeated streak at the top, 54 points, narrowly escaping Stirling County's challenge in a tight 20-19 win last weekend. Round 4 of the Welsh Premiership has Carnarvon leading a tight top 5 with 15 points, but there's upcoming clashes between top teams could quickly shake up the rankings. The BC Premiership has kicked off with Burnaby Lake leading the pack, undefeated, with 2 bonus point wins. After 4 rounds of Elite 1, Bordeaux holds the top spot, remaining undefeated, but their lead over the pack is still really slim. We're 5 rounds into the PWR. Exeter remains unbeaten at the top, solidifying their lead with a 29-12 win over second-place Saracens this past weekend. Natisi's Ice leads the Nanfung Group Airside Premiership at Hong Kong, but they're joined in the undefeated ranks by Society Generale and Gai Wu Falcons. El Salvador leads from the front in the Iberdrola, but with 2 other undefeated teams close behind, they hold just a 1-point lead. Valsugana leads Series A Elite after 2 rounds, but they're joined in the undefeated ranks by Colorno. The Netherlands Honor League kicked off this past weekend with Delft, AAC, Waterland, and Roos securing wins. Delft leads on points differential. The Uganda Cup announced their pools ahead of competition starting. It'll have 10 teams, and the Nile Rapids will look to defend their title.